Welcome to Ironcast. My name's Anuki, and apparently we've got a #1 player in this match. But someone else might have to verify this one. Let's introduce our commanders and get started, shall we? On the west side of town, they've got a tale or two about their exploits. Leading the British workers' strike, it's Riser of Blue. All the way over in the east, there's a slight problem. I just can't read anything outside of English, which means I have the incredible honor of coming up with a creative name for this commander. It's Steve, but the V is a W, so it's more German. Bersolari already sprint jogging their way, or power walking, that's what it's called, over to the fuel point where they're getting the sandbags down. Interesting that they want to gun straight for this. Only one sapper squad out for Riser of Blue. Sappers incredibly strong up close, and then later on you can upgrade them with a flamethrower, making them even more powerful. Panzer Pioneers also going to barbed wire the heavy cover, and I can see why they wanted to get over here incredibly quickly. An ambitious barbed wire plan. They're not going to be able to get all this down because an infantry section shows up and the captain starts pistoling away. Ooh, this is not the best direction to retreat in. That's, yeah, height advantage. Over to the Africa Corps. So in this area, it's weird because on the other side of this fuel point, it's incredibly easy to fire down at units and get that height advantage. But on this side of the map, height advantage is in, like, peculiar spots that you need to be hyper aware of. Now, the sappers, they were in front of the infantry section, and it's the sappers who'll be doing more damage up close, so it's perhaps better that the infantry section screened for the sappers. No matter, though, because we do have another infantry section. The captain buddying up with their other captain pal. This battle will be won in numbers, and the numbers go over to the British. 2.5 minutes in, and very little territory has been captured. It's another advantage of having more engineered type squads or pioneer type squads out on the field. You might be lacking in combat power when they're all separated, but the capturing power is brilliant. So we could be shifting, yeah, the infantry section position to try and negate that heavy cover. Just scoot over to the right a little bit more.
Our finest vehicle crewmen have been allocated. Vehicles shall arrive on the field veteran.
So we got the veteran vehicles upgrade. So armor for Riser of Blue. Now, at the moment, the Africa Corps have invented a new strategy, let's say. Well, not new, but it's become popularized. So we might actually see that out on the field today. Bersolari are on their way back. Meanwhile, Riser is trying to focus on getting the ever-important +16 munitions point so they can start upgrading their infantry sections. Bersolari get flanking position on the infantry section, and they're able to take cover behind this wall even though it's been barbed wide, so it's not close enough. It's something that I wish was a new feature in Company of Heroes 3. So using barbed wire to deny cover has been in all 3 games. Ooh. Infantry section getting pinned by the machine gun there. That is a surprise to see 4 minutes in. And it's tough because it's the recon section as well that just got their new rifles, scoped Lee Enfields. But yeah, with the barbed wiring, I kind of wish that it would have... I wish it had, like, nodes on wall-based cover that you essentially just attached the barbed wire to. Like, it would snap to it, making it really, really easy. Look at that barbed wire just got broken all the gunfire. Sapper squad to a flank. Machine gun trying to collect itself. Retreats. see how these sappers will perform as they get up close to the Vet 1 Bisileri. Look at that damage, it is really good. They also get a promotion. So fuel point now going over to the British, and they're going to barbed wire that. Oh, I hear a mine. I always hate missing mines. There should be a special mine camera. See, that would be innovation to the replay system. Getting picture-in-picture within the replay itself. Time to kill, making me doze off. Well, you gotta be flanking. Long-range engagements are always going to be the long ones. Riser trying to decamp the fuel on Steve's side of the map. Machine gun setting up again. Light cover doesn't offer protections against suppression. There's that recon squad. Moving up to the +10 munitions. By the way, I do hope that you've been enjoying the music. I think it's nice to pad out the parts where there isn't as much action. It's just nice to chill and watch the game. I'm not going to be rambling or trying to ramble for every freaking second. Just enjoy the beauty of the game. Assault Grenadiers in their 250 half-track. Going to be dangerous for the infantry section to deal with, but not as dangerous as the 8-rad armored car. In response is a Humber. Now, the 8-rad, I believe, has more armor. It's got 30 armor? 30 front armor? It sure does. As far as firepower goes, though, I think the Humber might be slightly better armed. So ultimately, it's going to come down to, most likely, who gets the most side shots, who surprises who, and it is the Humber that gets the initial shots off. And that's going to make a big difference. 8-rad has only just acknowledged the Humber's existence. You can't be like that anymore. Everyone's existence is to be validated. The 250 offering moral support. Not much you can do. Steve with a W crying in 8-rad loses it. And the Humber getting 2 scoops of delicious veterancy. It's quite a nice start for the Humber. It can get some repairs. All the infantry squads going to the north side of town. Meanwhile, Steve is bringing their machine gun over here. But their Panzer Pioneers severely wounded. Maybe they'll drop some mines using the MG squad to capture. I like it. Getting a lot of value from using all the squads at their disposal. Grenades away! Just displaces the squads, but not much damage. So we got the Caro Armato just taking a peek in the base. Not much to see, though. Maybe it was trying to find the Humber.
Anti-air tanks are available.
So it is quite possible that the Africa Corps is going to be showing us the Caro Armato spam. Also referred to as the pizza tank. Mine's going down on the victory point. Infantry section sees it. Or maybe not. Is that mine for me? Can I just step on it? Thank you. Thank you so much. Just needed a little bit of pip in my step. So the Caro Armato. It's an interesting tank. For a light vehicle, it was on the heavier side. This thing could have 3 to 4 machine guns on it. It was seriously well armed. The actual biggest downside. Got a second one on the field already. Yeah, we're going to be seeing this spammed a lot. Humber is not in a grand position. Oh, 2 more shots, I think. Oh. AT rifles to offer assistance. Does the Kara Amato want to risk it? They're going to go straight into the base. No, they lose their edge. We might lose an infantry section here, though. Down to one guy left. Two. Oh, no. So as I was saying about these tanks, the biggest weakness of these tanks was actually the crew themselves. Italy didn't have a tank training center until... Ooh, we got the MG-34 captured there. So until 1941. So they had these tanks, but they didn't have anyone to actually use them well. A lot of these tanks didn't come equipped with radios as well, so communication and organization suffered, as you might imagine. But interesting little tidbits and facts here that you discover as you browse the internet for information. Turns out World War II wasn't such the party people thought it was.
Grenade packages are inbound, Commander.
Fighting on the fuel point. Grenades again. Away. AT rifle. Will that be focusing on the 250? Nope. Picking on the Bersaglieri. Got a vehicle on the way to arrive. Humber to give the assistance, but then a light tank appears right behind it. Excellent flank. Humber, though, is just so daring. It really wants that 250. It does get it. Now there's 3 pizza tanks. Vet 3 for the Humber, but that might have just been... Poor Vet 3 Humber. 6-pounder looking down the road. It definitely wasn't worth losing that Humber for a 250. Even bringing it back to refit it. Try and tech up. Get some much needed heavier armor out on the field. Though I believe Matildas might still be a little bit away. AT rifles perform exceptionally well. Rifle grenades on the Bersaglieri also hurting a lot.
He's dead.
Damn is dead. Sapper squad, infantry section, moving in to try and retake this territory. As the Kara Amato has received some repairs. How is a Riser of Blue going to deal with this? Another just darting around with these pizza tanks. AT gun was set up and prepared. AT rifle getting a sticky grenade off. Firing in the front. Still might end up decrewing the AT gun. They do. MG-34 hard at work turning that gun against the opponents. The light tanks are back in to try and get rid of this AT gun. Don't stop loading? I mean... if you want. Oh, yes! Sweet, we got a Churchill out on the field. Now, the ancient old question. How many Churchill tanks does it take to deal with the Kara Amatos? This thing equipped with a 6-pounder gun. The armor was the real defining feature of the Churchill tank. So this is... I mean, the Churchill tank is more armored than a Tiger, would you believe?
Our supply line's broken. We have sectors isolated.
Churchill was designed for sort of a World War I environment. Its long body was to help it move through the environment of really muddy and treacherous terrain, steep and bogged down. But it turned out that World War II was not the same as World War I. Regardless, it helped it fight in the deserts. And the armor was just always handy. The Mark IV was the version that was produced the most. I think 1,600 versions of that tank. Out of all the Churchills, 300 would lend to the Russians. I don't think we ever got those back, did we, Russia? Granted, 100 of them were actually lost in shipping, so, you know. Still facing the same problems with Amazon today. Now, I like that these tanks are spreading out. This one going down to the bottom, trying to avoid facing the Churchill. It's the smart choice. We've still got the AT rifles to try and deal with, though. Another advantage of actually spacing your tanks out, the tanks, well, the three in the north, is when you just right-click on that Churchill, they'll at least come from different angles. They're on the move now, I can see. You can see Steve trying to approach from multiple angles. The Churchill's not here. It's been slowly moving down. All the infantry in the area having a tough time using what sticky grenades they have at their disposal, what limited munitions they have in their pockets. They do manage to destroy one of the Carros. Churchill tank getting a side shot off. There's a Marder on the field now. This is the damage that we kind of need to see. The Marder will pack a punch. And if the Italian tanks can just keep the Churchill swatting away at them. I love seeing the shells bounce. Good micro here from Riser. I think that's another dead Armato. But then another light tank appears right behind. Is this going to be the one that gets it killed? Really struggling. It's gone. Nevertheless, ooh, lose some sappers there as well. Deadly shot there. Wow, MG losing like 70% of its health. So one Churchill, I think that was two Cato Amatos. It's not a great ratio, but it's still something. The AT rifle was responsible for one of them. Must have been three, actually, because I'm only seeing one on the field. But more are arriving, just keeping that spam going, keeping the pioneers constantly repairing and building mines. New Churchill out on the field. Feel like if we see a mass of Churchills, I mean, the game's as good as over, but getting them on a quantity like that, a bit trickier. Riser, is that like 5 pizza for one Churchill? Big miscounting there. I think that was 3-1. Granted, the Marder was firing there as well. Don't misattribute certain things. Don't discredit that Marder for its hard work. Did some good damage at the start of that fight. The Riser now capturing a lot of territory. Steve on the back foot. Now, if they can send in the light tanks to get that Churchill turning round, and then the Marder just pokes in from behind, I'll easily dispatch the Churchill. Marder's got great penetration. Its weapon is fantastic. Bersaglieri decap the munitions. Having to sprint away from the Churchill. Caro Amato's on the move down to the south side of the map. It's a long way for the Churchill to go. Rifle squad retreating rather late there. Why is the Marder coming up here, though? I mean, the Marder serves no functionality here, unless they see the Churchill. Look at that damage. Apparently that also counts as height advantage. Does that do increased damage? Amato's going into the base, trying to get some poor retreating squad kills. AT gun set up, Churchill coming in from behind. Another light tank trying to make its way there. Marder was able to escape going round the lighthouse. That was a lot of light tanks sacrificed for very little gain. But don't worry, we've got more on the way. I'm just gonna ask Daddy Hitler to give me some more. Daddy, I've lost all my light tanks and I want some more to play with. Yeah, alright. Be careful with them this time. Interesting, though, the Steve is just committed to the max of making these light tanks work. Infantry section not faring very well in the face of so much danger. Got 2 AT rifle squads. I feel, considering that we know what Steve is doing, might even warrant some more AT rifles on the field. But then again, still, even with this British patch, having a lot of AT rifles is pretty good when you see many vehicles out on the field, especially light vehicles, which these are still classified as. As I say, they were on the heavier side for light vehicles. It definitely looks it as well. It feels it. You compare that thing to a Stuart or a Greyhound, nowhere near as mobile. God, I'm missing like so many of the other light vehicles. Like the Lukes. I miss the Lukes. Got 2 Churchills now. This should be more than enough to handle whatever Steve throws at Riser. Still cause for concern, though. With the Marder tank on the field. Maybe if we see another Marder coupling up. Loved what Steve did there. They used the building to block line of sight. That's what I call Tactics 45. Or 43. Whatever this was set in. Obviously, multiplayer wars extend over many periods of years. Churchill 4 was 1943. Don't think it saw much action in Italy.
The enemy has 300 points remaining.
More repairs going off, more tanks being requisitioned. Only seeing 2 Pioneer squads to maintain the German mobile army. More engineers as well. So double sappers to try and keep the Churchills alive and going.
We are losing territory.
Bersaglieri seem to be like the lone squad responsible for diving right into the back line and trying to decap some of these points. The tickets are starting to equalize. 250 for the British, 270 for the Africa Corps. Churchill's on the move, heading towards a mine. Riser has a minesweeper, but they aren't in front. And I really wish you could have some movement formations like infantry in front or keep pace commands. Anyway, probably a great time for Steve to launch their assault, but probably don't lead with the Marder. It's not a proper tank. Churchill's open fire. Crunch time for the Marder. We've got a recon flare to see what's going on, but Riser doesn't spot the flank. Armato's getting plenty of side shots, getting right behind for the swarm. Ryza does have AT rifles and an AT gun to help against this. Now, if you ever find yourself in this situation, getting your butt to a wall or building, trying to deny access to the rear shots. I know it's a last stand attempt, but you can't outpace lighter vehicles. There's that AT gun. Armato's retreating up the hill. Churchill giving chase. Confirms another kill. Another Armato out on the field. Wow, took heavy damage. Just in the first second of battle. Another Armato down. AT gun taking that kill. And the rest are fleeing. And that is victory for Ryza. Incredible. Thanks, Ryza, for sharing this game. Was awesome to watch you play, and a very well-deserved win. I bet you've inspired many British players on how to deal with this plague of a strategy, but it was fun to watch. Now, if anyone else has a replay, come along to the Ironcast Discord, and don't forget that I'm trying to stream on Twitch. I've not streamed on Twitch consistently in a long time. It's really confusing for me. So if you want to watch me stumble around, brilliant. Okay, I'm headed off. Thanks for watching, and more games to come soon.